you're not eating enough. So there are three macronutrients: carbs, proteins, and fats. The most important one in terms of energy are carbs. So we will focus on carbs. In what foods do we find carbs? Like bread, pasta, vegetables, fruits, anything like baked, basically. All of those foods have carbs in them. And why do we need carbs? Because carbs aren't like energy. You don't burn carbs as energy. So it looks like this. You have bread. From bread, you have carbs. From carbs, you get glycogen. And then from glycogen, you finally get the energy. So you eat bread. In your stomach, well, in bread there are carbs. So in your stomach, the carbs get like, the bread gets digested and the carbs too. Then from carbs, glycogen will be made, and glycogen will be used as energy. And glycogen doesn't go to just your muscles. For example, like all the organs use glycogen as energy. Like your brain uses like 40 grams a day. 40 grams of glycogen a day. That's quite a lot, you know. It could be even more. And your muscles, it's like 200 grams plus, you know, depends on the training and stuff. But every organ uses glycogen. Fats too, but that's another topic. But mainly glycogen. So, and even it gets more complicated because, okay, you need to store the glycogen. So you mainly store glycogen in your muscles. It's called like glycogen storages. Glycogen storage. And why you need like a stream of carbs always is in training, let's say before training, you have like 100% glycogen storages. Basically, you're full of usable energy. After training, you have like 50% because you use like half of it. And then, if you don't have enough carbs, then the next training, you let's say have like 60%, which is like bad if you just could increase your glycogen storages by 10%. And then you again, for example, use like 40%. And then you have just 20% of your glycogen storages. And that's not good because you don't recover or like eat enough carbs. Then the next day, this is like, let's say day 1, day 2, day 3. And the next day, you let's say have like again like 60% of glycogen storages, and you use again like 50%, then you have just 10% glycogen storages. That's really bad. And basically, when you don't have enough fuel, you will get sick. That happened to me so many times, basically, that I was just under eating, and that's bad. You will basically get sick. And not like you won't go to the hospital and shit, but you will get sick. Because your immunity will be weakened a lot. That's why, for example, why do you need carbs during training? So, during training, you need carbs during training only when it's like 2 hours plus, or around 2 hours. Because your body will get kind of exhausted in a way. It's a lot more complex, but for the simplicity. And your immunity will get weakened. And you need carbs to keep up. If you don't have carbs, your immunity will get weakened and you may get sick. And that's not good. You don't want to get sick when you're like in training and like you want to train. Like I don't know how is it with you, but when I'm sick or like I can't train, I don't feel good, I want to train. In a way, you need to, as an athlete, you need to train your mind that when it's not your fault, or like you're not training or you can't train because of something else that you got sick, injured, then you need to kind of learn how to not care about it, because a lot of times, like athletes, we fall onto like this depression thing because we can't train. So yeah, but that's off topic. You need to train your mind about that. So yeah, during training, that's why carbs are important. And for example, like if you would have like fat during training, like I don't even know, like you would eat like freaking bacon, well, in training, well, it definitely would taste better, but I don't think it would give you any energy. Like bacon, that thing that it takes like 12 hours to digest, bacon, like fats. It takes a lot of time. I'm not saying fats are useless, like all of these, like carbs, proteins, fats, you need all of it. But carbs, they are the most like important, or like a lot of times people just don't have enough. Because like proteins, a lot of times you don't like kind of don't have enough. You don't need to have enough, that could be a problem. But that's more mainstream, like proteins, how much grams of proteins, but nobody talks about carbs, Well, of course, like they talk, but just not enough. When I was training, I remember the first day when I kind of had more carbs. I felt like I was reborn. I just had so much more energy, so much more energy. Because in the morning, I had just scrambled eggs, a few pieces of bread, maybe, if some. Went to school. In school, I had some bread, and then like not much carbs to the lifestyle that I was living. If you're training every day, you need carbs because you don't want to be like this, And when it gets like low, like 20%, 10%, or like 0% almost, you will get sick. And you will get sick for like a week, 2 weeks, That happened to me always. So you just need to eat carbs, just focus. And you don't need to like, how much you need to eat. I would guess, I don't like measure it. I'm unnecessary for the most people. If you want to be like this precise, you want to measure it and stuff, no problem. But I would guess around 200 and 300 grams a day. Well, depends how much I'm training and stuff. Now I have a lot less. But when I start, I had like a chill week. But overall, I have a lot of carbs, mainly from like rice, bread, and these things. So yes, that's all. Carbs are important. Just as important as proteins and fats and as everything. And a side point, I'm not telling you that just go and focus just on carbs. Because you need everything else too. Okay, these are macronutrients. Yeah, macronutrients, these three. But, micronutrients, that's vitamins and minerals. Micronutrients are just as important. You need what do you mean? Like, okay, eat the carbs, but then have an apple or a banana for like potassium and like vitamins. Because if you don't have like the macronutrient side figured out, then you can have all the carbs you want, but macronutrients are kind of like the matrix. They work in the background, so everything kind of works. Yeah, like macronutrients are like the main stuff that you see a lot of times and you use, but micronutrients are like the managers. They tell them like, hey, go there, you go there and stuff. So you need to have everything. A lot of people just focus on like carbs and like carb loading your glycogen storages. That stuff is important, but micronutrients is another topic that's overlooked by everybody. So yes. So this is everything I wanted to tell you. I hope you learned a ton and you will implement stuff, and I hope you will start feeling better today or tomorrow. So yeah, this is everything I wanted to share today. Have a nice rest of your day.